Our bodies exist as a visual representation of our minds. They are nothing more. Every mind has the capability of transcending physical form. Many do, even if they don't realize it. The very nature of physical reality is very unphysical. Humans have evolved to ignore the complexities and realities of the universe by using physical form to protect them from the harshness of existence. The very nature of being is to be in pain, is to long for and to be unfulfilled. To cope, we developed corporeal form. The use of physical form is not unlike leaving the light off at all times, obstructing the undesirables in the room. Do you understand what I'm saying so far?
More or less. Please, continue.
When I entered your reality, I was a much different person than I am now. My reality was much worse than this one. I was a girl who was entirely lost. From a young age, people thrust their expectations on me. They believed I was destined for artistic greatness. I was a child prodigy in many ways. I had peaked by my early teens, and I was no longer able to perform or create at a level that could match the adults around me. I was, for all intents and purposes, a disappointment. Picture for a moment being a young girl who can't do wrong. Everything I created, everything I said impressed those around me. I was the perfect child artist, but that's all I ever was. When I became an adult, but my artistry remained childlike. I considered quitting piano, considered removing myself from art altogether, but somewhere along the course of my life, I had developed an artist's mentality. I knew I wasn't a good adult artist, but I was still compelled to create. And with each new thing I tried, I continued to disappoint those around me. It was May 22nd, 1996, when I met the man who would fix this for me. At 3:02 a.m., I walked into a music club in the city. He was on stage, playing to a small but enthusiastic audience. Each note he played on his guitar seemed to tell me something that I had always known, but had never really understood. After he finished, I knew that I had to speak with him. It wasn't before long that we became both romantically and artistically involved. It was as if knowing him had somehow broken the seal around my mind that was preventing me from creating something worthwhile. The lack of refinement to his playing freed me from the confines of rhythmic and artistic regularity. I don't mean to suggest that he was lacking in technical refinement, just that a certain jubilation came through in his playing that I had never experienced. Our relationship was like a whirlwind of physical. Never had I given myself to someone so literally. Together, we wrote A Distant Voice, and I knew that I still had the hopes of being not only a good artist, but an interesting human being. Something terrible happened on May 22nd of 1997. At 3:02 p.m., his daughter had come home and found us together. He hadn't yet told his children about me. I was a much younger woman. He followed her out into a coffee shop. I waited for them to return, hating myself more and more for entering his life and making it difficult. I waited there until 3:02 a.m., completely beside myself. And the strange thing is, he never returned. He never came back into his own apartment. I stayed there for a few days, knowing he'd have to come back eventually. And he simply never did. I called his friends, I called his manager, and they all said they hadn't seen him. Just like that, he slipped through the cracks of my reality and never returned.
And you never saw him again?
I did. It was May 22nd, 1998, 12:01 p.m. A minute into the first concert I had put on since his disappearance. I had refused to do our music live or release A Distant Voice until I had seen him again. Finally, legal pressure forced me to schedule a release for May 22nd, 1999, with a year-long tour to promote it. I watched in terror from behind my piano as he wrapped his arm around a girl even younger than I. This girl was not his daughter, though she was probably his daughter's age. I left the stage and receded into myself. The man who placed his arms around that young woman was not the same man who placed his arms around me so many times. It couldn't have been. The man I knew would not have put on such a display of affection, knowing it could hurt someone so much. It was in that moment that I longed to leave my reality behind, to sever my ties to my physical form and exist in a different space. For many days, nights, minutes, seconds, I sat in my bed, slowly drifting further into my own depression, slowly pulling my mind from my body. When the separation happened, it was almost immediate. It was so sudden that the painful moments leading up to it felt trivial. I was just my mind, and I had left my physical body behind. I floated until I found a reality that seemed different from mine.
That's trippy.
Hoping to find a reality that contained the him I knew. Hoping that he had fallen into this reality, and we could be together again.
Was his voice the one we heard on the record?
No, it wasn't. I don't know whose voice we heard. I was so nervous sharing that music with you guys, I almost didn't realize it wasn't me singing.
Well, everyone loved it. It was amazing.
Really? I can never tell what people think when I show them my songs. Well, what should we do now?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think I misread that situation.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Let's go back inside and whatever. Just not that whatever.
Damn.